What is going on, YouTube? I'm working on two custom cars today. These two 1970 Plymouth Road Runners. I did a mail call unboxing on them a couple weeks ago. So if you want some more information on the cars, go check that video out. These are two pretty sweet looking cars, and I almost don't want to take them apart. Almost, but I will. These cars will be heading over to Sub 4RA and his NASCAR YouTube Cup. So the plan is to get them all painted up looking like old 60s NASCARs. Add some weight, work on the wheels and axles, and try to make these cars as fast as possible. The 1970 Plymouth Road Runner is probably one of my all-time favorite cars. Plymouth built them for one reason and one reason only, and that was to go fast. You could get them with three different versions of the Hemi engine, the 383, the 426, or the 440, and all of them had crazy horsepower. The Roadrunner was used in NASCAR for a few years, but what it's probably most noted for is that Plymouth actually turned this into the Superbird in 1970. They did that to lure Richard Petty back over to Plymouth after he bounced over to Ford in 1968. Unfortunately, in 1971, NASCAR put some restrictions on the Superbird and made it to where it couldn't compete in NASCAR. And there's your little NASCAR history lesson for the day. Getting back to the task at hand, I'm using Citrus Strip Paint Stripper to strip the paint off these cars. Once it looks all nasty like that, it's probably a good time to take the paint off. I wash the car with warm water, and I use Dawn because it's got a degreaser in it. And I'll go over it with some steel wool to make sure all the paint has come off. At times the paint will stick in the cracks and crevices of the car, so I'll go over it with a dental pick and make sure I get all the paint off. And we're going to start with the orange Roadrunner. I found an eBay seller named RWNEFF1 who makes and sells 1/64 scale decals for slot cars and Hot Wheels. I found this one, and I'm going to attempt to recreate the Roger McCluskey Plymouth Roadrunner that he drove in NASCAR for a couple years. I'm using Microset and Microsol again, just like I did on the Monte Carlo builds. This stuff is pretty amazing and makes putting these water slide decals on very easy. Little known fact, Plymouth licensed the use of the Roadrunner and the Beep Beep from Warner Brothers for $50,000. Back in the 60s, $50,000 is a ton of money. Well, it's a ton of money now, but especially in the 60s. So now you know, and knowing is half the battle. The white paint you see is just Rust-Oleum sandable primer. I figured I'd put the decals right onto the primer and then go over the whole car to seal everything in with some clear coat. I'm kind of going with a less is more approach with this car. Kind of like in the 60s NASCARs, you didn't see advertising stickers all over the cars, so I'm keeping it minimal just to try and recreate the 60s look. I sprayed the car with Duplicolor Perfect Match clear coat, and for some reason there was a little chemical reaction with the decal on the roof. I have no idea why it did that. I know it's pretty frustrating to put all this work into the car and then have something like that happen, but luckily I had some paint that somewhat matched the color of the decal, and I just went over the decal with the paint and it smoothed it out a little bit, but don't know why that happened, and I'll try and figure it out so it doesn't happen on some future builds. And all the decals are on it. The clear coat is sprayed on there, and it's time to put the car back together. And there she is, all put together in exactly the look I was going for. A bare bones kind of 60s NASCAR look, and I think I was able to recreate it pretty well. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Not happy about the chemical reaction on the roof, but we were able to get through it. I used the original wheels and tires that came with the car. It is sitting a little bit tall, so I wonder how that's going to play out on the track. Hopefully it doesn't go flying off of it, but Very happy with the way it turned out. Now on to the red one. I'm doing a little bit different approach to this one. I don't want to use any decals, and I just want to do paint for everything. So I have some vinyl stickers that I'm going to put on there. I'm going to paint the car again, take the stickers off, and see how it turns out. The car's all set, ready to go. Typically before I paint the car, I like to work on the base and add the weight and get the wheels and tires on there. And then if there's any modifications that need to be made to the car, I can make the modifications before the paint go on. So I put the wheels on, tried to glue them in. The base fell off the stand I was using, and the wheels fell and got Gorilla Glue all over them. After spending quite a bit of time working on these wheels, they got glued together. Nothing I can do to fix it, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to find a loaner car somewhere to find some wheels that will fit, but let's put it together and see what it looked like anyway. I don't have any cars right now that I can use to steal the wheels off of, so we'll probably have to revisit this one at a later date. You ever work on a car or work on some project where something happens and you get frustrated and then everything just starts kind of falling apart after that? Yeah, that's pretty much how this went. So sometimes it's just better to walk away and come back at it at another time. So there it is. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. The custom stance and the added weight. I'm sure this is going to be the ultimate fastest car I have ever made, and it's going to totally dominate and destroy every other car in the YouTube Cup. Anyway, we'll come and we'll fix this thing up at some point. But in the meantime, the one that actually went together, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This will be sent off to Sub4RA, so go check out his channel along with the Monte Carlos that I made, and we'll see how they do on the track. Thank you guys for watching, and let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I'll see you on the next one.